Yo, it's Cashin', man. It's your boy Cash from my Chinese and Spanish heritage. Now rocking with DJ Zero.
Appreciate you coming through, man.
Yo, appreciate it, man. Thank you for the reach out.
Yo, so, your heritage, you say you're...
Yeah, I'm Chinese and Puerto Rican.
Wow.
Yeah, Chinese and Puerto Rican.
And how was that? How was your heritage? Was it growing up in Harlem like that?
Well, I mean, it's always been different for me. I mean, at first, just learning how to kind of embrace the Chinese side, I wasn't always so open to that. I just thought that people would like kind of like making fun of me, especially I have like this last name, you know what I'm saying? It's just like real Chinese and stuff like that. So I was like kind of shy about it at first, and then as you start getting older, like you learn to embrace that because you know you feel a little exotic, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I mean, obviously guys like women that are exotic, but there's women like guys that are exotic as well.
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
you know, you start learning to embrace that and just getting in tune with your culture and just, it's okay to be different, you know what I'm saying? So.
And being Chinese and growing up in hip hop, how was it for you to get into that? Like, did people accept you off the bat?
I mean, yeah, I mean, because in my neighborhood, like, I don't think it really was too much of a race issues. Like, I mean, as far as like, they don't really see me like that. I mean, you know, I mean, besides when people ask like, what am I? And then I would tell them, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm Chinese and Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, like most of my friends were like black and stuff like that. I grew up with nothing like but black guys.
And where did you grow up at?
I mean, originally, so like, I mean, I'm like a New York guy all the way. Like, I was like born in Queens, you know what I'm saying? Like, raised in Brooklyn for like the first early stages of my childhood, like from to like 12, and then I came to Harlem like 12, 13.
Okay.
And so that's when I started like high school and everything, and then so I've been in Harlem since.
And what part of Harlem?
On Spanish Harlem, the east side, yeah, man. Yeah, the east side, the lower side, you know. Not lower east side, but just the, yeah.
That's what's up. And when did you start getting into hip hop and discovering your talent?
Probably during Brooklyn, like back in the 90s, like just the whole like that 90s era, man, like around like 95, like, you know, when music was really good, like that golden era of hip hop, to me at least. Just hearing different sounds, you know what I'm saying? Like hearing Pac, hearing Big, like I remember like the height of that, the whole beef when they had, and it was just kind of like really popular at that time, and like that's when I was tuning in. Like Pac was like one of the first artists that I actually resonated with because his lyrics were just kind of easy to understand. It kind of hit home a little faster.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean Big too. Big had a good sound. I just didn't totally understand like the lyrics at the time. Like I couldn't grasp everything that he was saying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Did you pick a side back then?
I was actually rocking with Pac. I like Pac. Pac had the bad guy look to me, you know what I'm saying? It's just what I connected with right away, you know what I'm saying? It just made me feel like, oh, I like this guy. And like I said, I understood his music a little more. I understood what he was saying. It hit home easier for me than Big.
Right.
Until I got older and really started like listening to like lyrics. So like, I mean, I started dabbling with music like around 10, I guess, and it really started writing like 12 and stuff like that.
And how was that, like writing your first, you know?
I mean, it kind of just felt like, it kind of felt normal. Like it kind of felt like I just knew what to do. No, like nobody in my family, to my knowledge, was a musician. We have a lot of artists and illustrators and stuff like that. So I used to draw, and then I just kind of put that pencil down and picked up the pen, and just started like penning my game on the pad, and just I always liked words.
Yeah, right.
So.
Were your parents a little against you?
Nah.
The whole music thing?
Nah, it wasn't even, I mean, I was probably like, I wasn't showing everybody at that time that I was into it. It was kind of like a thing that I was meeting with my boys.
Okay.
And we would just like record we would go record from one little boombox to the next on the tapes, like back on the cassette tapes. So like before we even thought about hitting the studio, we was doing cassette tapes, and that was cool. But nah, everybody was kind of like cool, just like, okay. It's like a new hobby.
Okay, and when you take your hobby and you start investing in yourself to take yourself more serious, when does that happen?
That happens later on, but I already go to a studio in between that time,
okay.
Which happens to be like one of my in-house producers, my man my man Shim, my man G Harbor, his father had a studio out in Staten Island.
Okay.
And they always had free time. It was just their studio, so that was like our escape. That was our first like crash course, and we would go there. We recorded. I cut my first record like the age of 14.
Okay.
It was something. It was alright. It wasn't you know.
Yeah.
14. Was young. We in the studio playing live. This when live was popping. Just bullshit, man. Just playing around. But you know, I'm in there. We're taking the steps, but
Right.
we're just not knowing how serious we want to be with this music at that time. So it was a lot of time just wasting in the studio, just chilling. I mean, we had free studio time, like 24 hours a day if we really wanted to. And that's when we was in there just knocking around, just really just playing live, falling asleep in the studio, doing stupid shit like.
And who's making your beats at this time, or where you get?
At that time, yeah, it was my man G Harbor, and then his younger cousin, which is my in-house now, who produces most of my music now, Dave. He was like just starting to like make beats and stuff like that. So they was like sampling like, you know, samples from like Reading Rainbow to like, this was like when the sampling game was like really like going through its transitioning and real thing, you know what I'm saying? Like I guess Heatmakers was just around and everything, so you know that sound was real popular. And that was it, yeah. I was just using like whatever they had at that time, whatever was connected, whatever sounded like it was good. I was taking like, all right, let's go.
And did your influences change? I know you said.
Well, yeah. I mean, Pac was definitely one of my influences, but then like my uncle, he would put me on to like more music, like really like. He would put me on to like a bunch of like really dope hip hop artists, and he kind of taught me a lot about the culture and stuff like that. He was older than me, so he's like I don't have no older brothers, you know what I'm saying? I'm the oldest out of 5 brothers, 1 sister.
Okay.
But he was like my older brother in a sense, you know what I mean? Because we was close to age. So he would put me on a Big L, and like, I mean, I heard of Jay, but he was like giving me the albums to listen to, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, and then it changed once I heard Hove though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changed.
What song was it before?
Just that Reasonable Doubt album. He told me start off with this, like if I'm gonna listen to Jay, and then it was just like, all right, and I listened to it, and then I started just really catching like the lyrics and the substance of the music, and it was just like, oh, all right, it's different now.
Did that make you change the way?
Nah, because it's crazy, because I was already rapping with substance, like I already had like the words and all of that, and maybe at that time it was just a little more like, I mean, I think every artist starting off, I don't think they like originally know who they want to be or who they want to sound like at that time. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just kind of like you trying to find yourself within music. And I think as a teenager, you're just trying to find yourself in general,
Right.
as a person and who you want to be. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to fit in, whatever it is that you're going through at these times. But Pac, yeah, Hove, and so it really didn't change my sound just yet. Like I was still rapping how I was rapping. It was a little like crazy. It was kind of like a crazy, like not Eminem, but it was, some of the context was like that, because I started listening to Eminem, you know what I'm saying, and I was just venting about stuff though. I would always vent. Yeah, because just like I just grew up like a little different, seen a lot, exposed to a lot of stuff young, so I was just venting about like my childhood within my music at that time.
Were you born here in the States or?
Yeah, nah, I was not. I was born in the States. Yeah, I was born in Queens. Yeah.
You ever visit over there?
In China or Puerto Rico?
Both.
Well, Puerto Rico, I haven't been in a long time, so I'm due for a trip over there. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully everything gets cleaned up and fixed up over there, and prayers for everybody that's out over there too. You know what I'm saying? And China, nah, unfortunately no, but that's a trip I want to take too. You know, I would like to bring my kids over there and stuff like that, you know, just experience the culture out there and stuff like that. I think it's